contestants. But normally, we only submit the first three to be announced, but then you are also tasked to submit the list showing the placements of all the contestants. Okay, so we announced three winners. We have the first, second, third, depending on the number of contestants. But we have to submit to the contest chair the placement of all the contestants. Now we go to the functionaries who are involved in the speech contest. We have the contest chair. And as Neb pointed out earlier, there's a difference between the contest chair and the contest master. And he already told you about it. So the contest chair and then the chief judge, one chief judge, and then voting judges, the tie-breaking judge, the counters or talliers, and the timers. So these are the numbers, the number of functionaries that you have. You have to have in every level of contest, from club, area, division, and district. I'm sure you can read, and I don't have to recite it one by one. So at area contest, there must be an equal number of voting judges. And this is to be fair. So all clubs must be represented. However, since we have a minimum of 5 for club and area, sometimes you don't have 5 clubs in an area, right? So what happens? So the contest chair or the contest committee can pick up a competent judge to meet the minimum number of judges. In the club, area 5, division, and district 7. So in the same way, every club must be represented, or every area in the division and every division in the district. However, we always make sure, especially in this online platform, to have more than the minimum. Why? Because it happens that there are technical difficulties, we have internet disruption, and many others technical interruptions. So we make sure that if 1 or 2 judges are logged out and cannot fulfill their task, then you still can meet the minimum number of judges for every level in the district. So if you notice, sometimes, especially in the district last time, we had, I think, I was the chief judge and we had 15 judges. And this is an assurance that even 3, 4 judges get out of the internet, then we still have and can meet the minimum number, and judging will be fair and efficient. All right? For tiebreaker, we only have 1. But since we are in an online platform, it is recommended that there will be alternate role takers, just to be sure that if the person, let's say the chief judge, there's only 1, you have someone to take over the function. So anything could happen. Okay. Make sure that the tie-breaking judge is not a member of any club in which where the contestant is a member. So make sure the tie-breaking judge is not a member of the club where the contestant comes from. Okay? So now we're finished with the chief judge. We go to the voting judges. If you are assigned as voting judges, your role is to select the best speakers, the first, the second, and the third place winners. We know that if the first place is not able to make it, then the second takes over. And if the second, then the third place becomes the alternate. So you have to select the first, second, and third place winners. This is the role of the voting judges. So we now go to the familiarization with the judges' guide and ballot. I'm sure you've seen this. I cannot enlarge it. So what do you do? You fill up the ballot. So let's say these are the spaces in which you write the names of the contestants. These are the criteria. These are the criteria, and these criteria have their own description on this page. Okay? So you have to read that to know what is meant by those criteria on the left side. And these are the numbers that you have to play and maybe use in your computation. Now, the lower part is the ballot. This is the guide where you put your stat. And this is the official ballot which you fill up in order to name your contestants first, second, and third. So this is the ballot form. Fill out the ballots. You tally the points, you add it, and put the total here after every contestant. And then finally, you rank the contestant. So this is the enlargement of the ballot. So you have the first, second, and third. What do? You write your name here. So you print your name, you sign your name here, and you write your first, second, and third place winner. Break your tie. It is important to break your tie, or your ballot will not be counted. Okay? Break your tie, and also without any signature, your ballot will be useless. So it's very important to fill up your ballots correctly. So this is like this is the upper part wherein you have written the names of the contestants, right? As I've shown you earlier in the judges guide. So you have the highest pointer, Dimitri, and definitely he's the winner. So he goes to first place. Your second and third is Juan and Portia respectively. And your fourth and fifth are De Luna and Tudis. Okay, so you have Dimitri, Juan, and Portia. And the chief judge will announce this. Now, we have the tie-breaking judge. And the tie-breaking judge must rank all the speakers. So if there are 6 speakers, which will be show later in the mock speech contest, then the tie-breaking judge should rank the 6 speakers from our contest, respectively. And this is the tie-breaking judges guide and ballot. So it has the same form, except that the lower part, the ballot part, will have more blanks, more lines, wherein you will write the ranking of all the contestants. So the same way, you write the contestant's name here, you have the criteria, you have the numbers, and you have the points, and then you have the ballots here. So you rank the contestants. So if you can see, you have 10 spaces to put all your contestants. If there are more than 10 contestants, then you just add on your ballot. Okay. So again, don't forget to print your name, to sign your name, and to rank all your contestants. So the chief judge must make sure that these are filled up and all the contestants' names are written and ranked accordingly before accepting the ballots. What happens if there's a tie? So the chief judge opens the tie-breaking ballot and give it to the tally counters for tallying. For each tie, compare the ranking in the tie-breaking ballot. Okay? The top 3 is announced, but full ranking is required for the notification of winners. And I mentioned this earlier. We announced 3 winners, but when the chief judge submits the notification, it must have the placement of all the contestants. So what do you do for the counters or talliers? What do you do if there's a tie? to simplify our lives, it is easier to just put a plus symbol to mark whoever is ranked higher in the tie-breaking ballot. So I will show you. Well, I recommend the plus, but you can add +1 or +0.5, depending on your preference and your desire. Okay? So, like here, your contestants, Dimitri again is the first place. Okay? Dimitri has 11 points, but your second place is a tie between Juan and Portia. Correct? So you now need the tie-breaking judge. The chief judge will give the tie-breaking ballot to the talliers. So the counters will now determine who is ranked higher in the tie-breaking ballot. And between Juan and Portia, so who gets the higher ranking? It is De Luna, right? So now the first one is Dimitri, but you put a plus on De Luna because he is ranked higher in the tie-breaking ballot. And the third one becomes Portia. Okay? So there's no more tie for the second place. The first one is Dimitri, followed by Juan and Portia. Again, you have another tie. Tudis and De Luna. Now, between the two, so you now have the 1, 2, 3, right? So supposedly when there was a tie, there was a third one which is also a tie. But since you have broken the tie for the second place, you now have 3 winners already. But you still have to break the tie between Tudis and De Luna because you have to submit the list of contestants according to their rankings. So between Tudis and De Luna ranks higher, right? So you now place a plus on De Luna, and he now becomes fourth, and the fifth is Tudis. I hope you're able to follow my explanation, and maybe you can ask your questions later for better understanding. So our ranking now is you have Dimitri, Juan, Portia, De Luna, and Tudis. Okay, this is what you're going to submit to the contest chair. So we have the numbers, the points in our judging criteria. There are different points for every category of our speech contest. The table topics, humor, international, and evaluation. And you can read very well that, and you will notice that the content takes more points in our criteria. And that speaks of something. That means content is very important, is important. Okay? Under content, we have several criteria also. But just to make you observe, table topics, humor, international, even in humor, content is very important. Table topics and evaluation as well. The others, though they may have a lower points, they're still as important. And judges must be able to assign points in accordance with the performance of our speakers, of our contestants. At the present, we have online speech contests, and I would like to relate to you some reminders because you know that in the Philippines, in our country, internet is not at its prime. So there are a lot of technical difficulties that we are experiencing and we might experience, and this will be very difficult if the contest is happening and going on because a lot of consequences can arise. Okay? So have a backup for all roles, including test speakers. important. I know I know it's difficult because you need as many people as you can to run the contest effectively. For the chief judge, make sure all judges view all the speech contestant. What do you mean? Make sure you open your video. You can mute your audio, but open your video so that the chief judge can see you as judges, just to make sure that you're not sleeping, you're listening. This is not out of distrust, but it is to for assurance. So open your video so that the chief judge and others and even contestants can see you, although the contestants do not usually know who the judges are. We don't let them know. But just make sure that you show your beautiful and handsome faces in the video during the contest, during the process of the contest. Okay? Now, next reminder is, if possible, have role takers use more than one device, which means if you're using your computer, you can also access or go on Zoom on your cell phone, on your tablets, if you have those gadgets on hand. So I think it's happening now, especially for those with critical roles. So you have more than one judges. So if one counts out, there's another backup. Okay, it's difficult, but if you can, it's expected of you. When a contestant gets disconnected, it's not only the judges who get disconnected, but contestants can get disconnected. However, if the contestant has reached the minimum required speech time, let's say for international and humorous, it's 4.5 minutes, then the contestant is not disqualified. And the judges have the duty to still put a score on those contestants. So you have to know the minimum. You have for evaluation, you have 2 minutes, and then for table topic, it's 1 minute. Okay. In cases where there are protests, and you know that there are bases of protest: originality, eligibility, and then we now have reference to the speech of the other contestants. Majority of the voting judges, the chief judge must call the voting judges to confer with them, and maybe call also the contestant in question to be able to get his side and come up with a decision equitably and fairly. Okay, so there must be a meeting among the judges. Maybe you can ask for a break and confer with the judges for any problem. All right, so qualities of a good judge. Which personality type are you? So are you a judge that can evaluate or judge fairly? Because I know of certain persons, like if I ask him to be a judge, he will definitely refuse. Why? Because he said, I'm quite biased, especially if the contestant comes from my district or from my division. And that's fair enough. You be honest, and what is good is you will not allow yourself to be carried into being a judge and not be fair and exercise due diligence. So better to refuse. Okay. So what are the qualities of a good judge? Fair and impartial, of course. That's why we have the criteria. But of course, we also have our personal preferences, and we cannot do away with it. Every mindset is different, and we carry that even in our judging. You must be objective, accurate, and trustworthy. Okay? And knowledgeable, of course. You have to know the rules, you have to know what to do and what not to do, and be a good listener. You have to be fair to the contestant and listen well to him. Let not our mind float if we are judging a contest. Okay? So exercise, I always say exercise due diligence and be fair. Because if you are in their place, you also want the judges to be fair and exercise due diligence. So again, reminding you of your purpose, select the speaker with the best speech or select the best speaker with the best speech. All right? You have a lot of resources that you hold on to or refer. These are some, and you can find this at Toastmasters website. Again here. So you can open our website and you can also ask some officers or some people from the district to where to find it or to forward to you certain informations. Earlier, Joy has posted the speech contest rule book and you can access it. Or you can go to Toastmasters International. Okay? Now, let me just go. That is the end of our talk of my talk for today. But let me just brief you on the speech contest workshop before we go to the Q&A. We will have a mock contest after the question and answer. So there will be a pre-recorded table topic speech contest in the main room, and this is to save time, okay, for us to be more efficient. So everyone will watch a pre-recorded table topic speech contest. I think there will be 6 contestants, and you will all have to listen and watch them. This will be held like a regular contest with, and then each participant, and we will have to request for all those who are attending today to have ready with you your judges guide and ballot and another tie-breaking judges guide and ballot. I hope you have them and you're able to download it, or maybe Joy can post also for you. So make sure that you have with you this judges guide and ballot, because during the contest, during the showing of the mock-up contest. Okay? So each participant should judge the contestants using those judges guide and ballots. So you rank all the 6 contestants, and then if you are able to rank the 6 contestants, it's easier, and then you pick up your top 3. So you don't have to duplicate whatever you're filling up. That's just for to make your life easier. Okay. In between, we will conduct it as a contest. There will be 1 minute of silence to write your scores on the ballots, on the judges' guide and ballots. Okay. So 1 minute of silence between the speakers. Then it's time for you to score. And once the contest has been concluded, you will be herded to the breakout room. So you will be assigned randomly, and each breakout room will have an assigned facilitator. You will conduct, you will judge, there will be a chief judge, the voting judges, counters, and timers. So everyone is given not only 15 minutes now. I think we're given 30 or 40 minutes later for you to have more time, because we learned from our previous judging training. So you need more time, and you will simulate what is happening in a speech contest. Okay? So later on, you will see the speech contest. So we now proceed to our Q&A session, and I think Neb and I will be available to answer your questions. Okay?
Uh, Ma'am Christine, there's a question from Sir Donnie that I'd like to answer immediately from the chat earlier. Can you
Yeah?
explain further what's the meaning of referencing other contestants' speech? Does the contestant need to mention the other contestant's name or something like that? Or can be said like, as was mentioned by the other contestant, to be called up as referencing. Actually, it's pretty much of a gray area. There are a lot of confusion with this rule, but basically, if something is stated quite clearly that and contestant number 6 mentioned that this way. So if it's so clear that you are referencing a previous contestant, then it's almost sure that you will be disqualified for that. But an issue states, for example, another contestant was his wife, and his speech was about his wife. You can reference the other contestant because she is the topic of your speech. But what you cannot do is reference her previous speech. So whatever he delivered before, he or she delivered before, cannot be referenced in your speech. But you can reference another person who just so happens to be another contestant. So for example, if Toastmaster Johnny Uy and I compete at the district level again one day, we are from different divisions, and it so happens that in my speech I'm referencing Toastmaster Johnny Uy, I can do that for as long as I'm not referencing the speech that he has just delivered. So that's a bit of a gray area and a bit of a concern, but I don't think we will have much problem with that because I will be warning the contestants not to do it
Yes,
as much
yes,
as possible.
yes. I think
Another
better
question that came,
refrain from that.
yeah, refrain na lang for the contestants. Now, another question from Toastmaster Janet, and it's a very good question because of referencing. Sorry, the question is, what's the difference between a contest chair and the contest Toastmaster? Actually, in the speech contest rulebook, the term contest Toastmaster appeared only once. And then what it states here is the contest chair may appoint a contest Toastmaster. I'll actually put it at the chat. A contest chair is synonymous to a contest Toastmaster. So we have division contest, area contest, where we have a contest Toastmaster. He or she is the one who introduces the contestants. In the rule book, it states that the contest chair must do it. But in fact, a contest Toastmaster is synonymous to a contest chair. So effectively, for example, in my case, at the district level, I am a contest Toastmaster. We will have 5 different contest Toastmasters for the entire district contest. I am one of them, and there will be 4 other contest Toastmasters with me. You can have as many contest Toastmasters as you need. So the higher the level, the more you need it. But in the entire rule book, it once it states contest chair, it can be synonymous to contest Toastmaster. So those are the 2 questions that I have here. If there are any other questions.
Yes, PID
Ah,
Christine,
Yes,
question here. I have a question regarding the submission of contest winners. The
yes.
chief judge must submit the results form containing the official contest winners. Unfortunately, the results form only contains blanks for first, second, and third place. It seems to me that the chief judge need not report the fourth, fifth, and sixth and other places. Or is there another form that I haven't seen yet?
Okay. Well, for that question, Ed, there's really the notification of winners wherein the first, second, and third are only the one that's defined. Okay. However, since we have to submit the list of placements and rankings for all the contestants, then we can actually maybe make a form and submit that on our own and submit that to the contest chair. I think it's for more of record purposes, for any
I-
problem that may arise later.
actually, I
But
can
we
clarify
can,
that.
yeah, okay.
There are 2 forms. The notification of winners for the contest, the chief judge submits it to the contest
To
chair
the contest
for
chair.
the specific contest. But the contest chief judge, the contest chair, will submit another form, the complete notification of winners, then submit it to the next level contest chair, and that all contestants are actually ranked. Even if you have 12 contestants, all contestants will be ranked in that form. So the
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 for the specific contest and ranking for all contestants are submitted to the next level contest chair.
I think normally because we are not given that, but we can
Yeah.
actually uh, use that again. Okay.
Okay,
Nepres,
there's another question here, ma'am.
yeah.
It's okay. Yeah, can a contestant be a target speaker? I think this is a test speaker during the evaluation contest in a club area or division contest.
No.
Can a contestant be a test speaker during the evaluation contest in a club area or division contest?
Contestant for evaluation, of course not. But if, for example, you are competing in the you are competing in the international contest, can you be a test speaker at the other level? Yes, you can. However, there is another specific rule Ang hirap ng rules na yan. Teka lang, I'm looking for the exact wording of this. Here is what I will say. I'll look for that specific rule and mention it in the chat later on. However,
Okay.
please, if you are competing in one contest, not volunteer or accept invitation to be a a target speaker or a test speaker. It's going to be difficult for you to do it. But some members are willing to do it. Is there a rule for disqualification? I can't find it yet. I'll look for it word for word. I think you're not disqualified. In fact, previous years, you cannot be a chief judge at the area level and then be a contestant in another area. This year, it's already allowed. It's been allowed since last year. So you can be a chief judge at area K1, for example, and still compete at area K2. So that's still allowed. That's now allowed. But for the test speaker, here it is. Contest chairs, chief judges, voting judges, tie-breaking judges, timers, counters, and test speakers may not compete in the contest at which they are serving any of these roles. So at that contest only. So for example, in your club, you're competing you cannot be a test speaker and an evaluation contestant. Or in another area, you cannot be test speaker and evaluation contestant. But can actually be a test speaker in that same setting, a test speaker for the evaluation contest, and then a contestant for the international speech contest. You can do that, but please don't. Rules say you can, rules say you're allowed, but don't, because how can you do that? So that's just a suggestion.
Okay, it's very clear.
Matters.
Crystal clear. Okay, another controversial question. What if it was an audience member who recognized that the speech was plagiarized? Does this mean there can be no protest? What if it was an audience member who recognized that the speech was plagiarized? Does this mean there can be no protest?
Actually, yes, but sometimes if let's say this is brought to the attention of the judges, it can also happen. It can also happen, but the member cannot bring up the protest because only contestants and judges are allowed to bring up the protest.
If you are an audience member and you're sure that the speech is plagiarized, go to the contestant of your choice, tell them that the other contestant's speech is plagiarized, and let the contestant protest it. Okay? So as a member, as an audience member, you cannot protest. Okay? But for example, meron kang manok, you have a contestant from your club, and you know that the other contestant plagiarized. Go to your contestant, plagiarize the speech niya, protest. Can be done, but the member cannot be the one to file the protest. Now, the contestant, as a contestant, if a member tells me this, I will just tell them, no, it's okay, let them go. But of course, it will depend on the contestant. Hopefully, in our district, that doesn't happen. It's not happened since I've joined. I've not noticed any originality problem. And in fact, I've seen speeches that are partially plagiarized and a lot exceeds 25%. No one is protesting. We're not that we're not that problematic.
Yeah, but it actually it happened to me already. One contestant in the international was had a speech, and well, one of the judges actually recognized the speech because it was I think the one that he actually lifted up, about 80% lifted up, was very famous in the internet. So it happened and it was brought to our attention. So we have to confer among the judges and call the contestant. And we looked at the internet, and really, I was telling him, if somebody recommended you to at least refer to this, you are not supposed to copy or to lift up the speech itself at least 80%. I mean, you can revise it, you can think of another example, maybe just take the form, but doing it and lifting it up really is very evident and, pitiful actually, because probably he was misguided because he's very new. So I hope this does not happen at any district speech contest.
Correct.
It can
It
happen.
certainly will, Lisa. Okay, ma'am, another question. What's your take on digitalizing ballots? Do we have guidelines that we should be wary of? Since we are going digital, perhaps an innovation is due?
I think the latest minutes, we already have these digitalized ballots, but I think we are not still using it. It is not probably more commonly used now because having the hard copy is still foolproof, especially with our internet. So sometimes if you have the digital ballots, then you can just be cut off and not access the ballot.
Yes.
So when the signal is weakened, you can just lose
Correct.
everything. So we still go to the foolproof hard copy of the ballots. But
Agree,
we are on
agree.
their way. I think I read one of the minutes that there is also something like that happening already and available.
Okay, follow-up question regarding protests. When is the right timing to file the protest since the tally and process of checking the winners is fast-paced?
So you have to also be fast and bring up your protest immediately, as long as it's before the announcement of the winners.
Yeah.
After the announcement, then it
I,
becomes final.
since this is online and actually in live contest, while the speaker is offending or plagiarizing, go to the chief judge, tell them that's I'm filing a protest on that one. It doesn't need to be a written protest. You just
Yeah.
communicate with the judges or chief judge.
Mhm.
Best to communicate with the chief judge because the chief judge is not doing anything, unlike the judges who are.
How may
No.
imagine the chief judge is not doing anything?
Yeah.
No, while the speaker is speaking, he's not doing anything, di ba? So pwede mo siya lapitan. As compared to the judges who might be
Okay.
busy and not really
No, but
listening.
sometimes the chief judge checks on the time, checks on the ballots, and checks on
Yeah.
the tally.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're just about time. Kung wala ng questions,
Yes.
Ma'am Louie.
Yes.
Okay, no
Any
more
more questions?
questions?
Questions? I think we can go ahead now with our workshop. PID Christine.
Yes, okay. So for the workshop, I think you have to show the mock contest. I have already briefed on how the contest and going to the breakout room will be done. I have briefed the audience on this already, so we can proceed to showing the mock-up contest already. So Joy or Luisa?
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is the Table Topics Contest. For table topics, subjects have been prepared. The first contestant will be made to pick one topic. This will be the topic that all other contestants will speak upon. Contestants shall be made to wait their turn to speak in a place that they will not be able to hear the others. A minute of silence is to be observed after every speaker. Table topics will be from 1 to 2 minutes. Speeches less than 1 minute are disqualified, and those more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds are also disqualified. Timing begins with a contestant's first definite verbal or non-verbal communication with the audience. Timers shall provide warning signal lights to the contestant. A green light will be turned on at 1 minute and remain on for 30 seconds. An amber light will be turned on at 1 minute, 30 seconds, and remain on for 30 seconds. A red light will be turned on at 2 minutes and remain on until the conclusion of the speech. In the event of technical failure of the signal, a speaker is allowed 30 seconds extra overtime before being disqualified. The speaking order of our contestants is as follows. 1. Ed Ramirez. 2. Joni Omega. 3. John Todorovich. 4. Vla Baguio. 5. Sucheta Joshi. 6. Mark Eskay. The judges ready? May I ask the Sergeant of Arms to escort the contestants outside the room except for speaker number 1. Speaker number 1. Contestant number 1. Ed Ramirez.
Wait, ma'am, wait.
Yes. Ed Ramirez. What will you do if you won 100 million pesos today? What will you do if you won 100 million pesos today? Ed Ramirez, contestant number 1.
Fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, have you ever held that much money in your hand? 100 million pesos. That's a lot of money, right? It could make a difference in your life. It could make a difference in so many people's lives. I don't think that I myself could finish that money, but I think uh, the whole world, or at least part of it, could benefit from the things that the money can buy. One of the biggest problems in this world right now is the COVID crisis. I don't believe those who have developed the vaccine have the resources to reach out to the world. Wouldn't it be great if an amount like this could help change the problems that these vaccine makers are facing right now? Think about it. Just imagine if they had the resources that we could provide to reach out to those people in need, old men and women, people who are high risk candidates. Well, of course, children. Wouldn't it be great if today their problem would be solved because of that 100 million? Wouldn't it be great? Ladies and gentlemen, 100 million might not be enough money, but it's a lot to make a difference in this world. Back to you, Mr. Topics Master.
1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Marshals, please bring in the next contestant. Contestant number 2, Joni Omega. What will you do if you won 100 million pesos today? What will you do if you won 100 million pesos today? Joni Omega, contestant number 2.
Most people would often prioritize human rights versus animal rights. As an animal rights advocate, I always believe that animal rights are part and parcel of human rights. If we can discriminate on one group or minority, such as the animals, then definitely we can discriminate all other minority groups. So if I'm going to win that amount of money, I would definitely create my own shelter where I will rescue all animals from the street. Where I'm going to rescue all animals from the street because I feel that they too are sentient beings, and all sentient beings deserve to be loved, deserve our compassion, and humans should start embracing our own humanity so that we will also understand what the other sentient beings are feeling. People with our intellectual superiority, we need to understand that the pain of the animals are the same as our pain. So that would be my plan. As much as possible, I would help as much as I can do for all animals to live comfortably and under my care, to feel my love and compassion. Contest chair.
1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Marshals, please bring in the next contestant. Contestant number 3, John Todorovich. What will you do if you won 100 million pesos today? What will you do if you won 100 million pesos today? John Todorovich, contestant number 3.
I would have absolutely no clue what to do with that amount of money. Would you? Imagine somebody dumping a block that's literally 1 by 1 by 1 meter stack of cash of 1,000 peso bills. That's mind blowing. 100 million pesos. Of course, I would know what to do. I already have plans lined up. I just wanted to act like I had no idea what to do with money. There are several versions of my life that I can already see going. 1, real estate. 2, stock market. 3, other investments. Those are the secret ones that I will not reveal in this session. Anytime life throws things at us unexpectedly, we often act like we're shocked, like it's a stroke of luck or something that we never anticipated. I like to convert those opportunities and consider them as opportunities rather than just pure luck. Because that's what luck is, isn't it? Preparation meets opportunity. That is your time to act. You have that opportunity every single day. Now, if somebody dumps 100 million pesos in front of you, sure, you should have at least one option, at least one. But if you have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, that's amazing. So consider that. Every time life throws an opportunity in front of you, just throw it, because opportunity does not knock only once. It knocks every day. And anytime it knocks, you can either accept it, open the door, welcome the opportunity, or you can say, no, that's not for me. And even if you use 100 million pesos, yes, if you don't want money, if you feel that money doesn't make you happy, sure, just let it be. But don't forget, those opportunities will always be around the corner. All you have to do is take a look. Contest Master?
Thank you. 1 minute of silence for the judges to mark their ballots. Marshals, please bring in the next contestant.